Hi, my name is Greg Reynolds. I'm the managing member of Home Services Restoration, LLC. We've been in business since 2015 and we're a local company right on Chancellor's Run Road. So if you ever need us, just let us know. What is mold? Mold is a fungus that grows in structures called hyphae. It is absolutely everywhere. It is in the air, it is on surfaces, everywhere you can think. Mold is bad for a couple of reasons. First, mold needs a substrate or a nutrient-rich organic source to feed on. These can be wood, drywall, paper, things of that nature. Mold causes extreme damages to these substrates as it starts to feed on it. The second reason is it is an allergen. Mold releases tiny spores that can severely affect people with allergies or with underlying respiratory issues like asthma. So what does mold need? Mold needs four things in particular. It needs moisture, probably the most important thing. It needs darkness, it needs warmth, and it needs a nutrient-rich organic substance or substrate to feed off of. There are easily over 100,000 different types of mold. Some are benign, some are not, but it is impossible to tell one way or another without testing exactly what type of mold it is. What is black mold? First, black mold is a misnomer. Any mold can be almost any color, and to be honest with you, most black mold or Stachybotrys chartarum is not actually black mold or toxic mold. Molds really can be any color that they want to be. Now, Stachybotrys is the bad boy of the mold world because it releases mycotoxins that can severely affect allergens or respiratory issues in a lot of people. Now, the big difference with Stachybotrys is that it's also been linked to dozens of cases where it caused severe neurological issues. There was one case in Texas where a home had just been built for literally a NASA rocket scientist. There was a small pinhole leak in a water line in a ceiling that wasn't detected for years. Within a couple of years, he was so neurologically impaired that he could not work anymore. The entire house had to be torn down in order to get rid of the mold. That was the only solution because it was so bad inside. Now, I'm not trying to scare anyone. I have done literally hundreds of tests on mold, and I've only run across Stachybotrys 3 times on mold tests. Can homeowners deal with mold themselves? The IICRC, or the Institute for Inspection, Cleaning, Restoration, Certification, says it actually encourages homeowners to deal with small areas of mold themselves. It is very expensive to hire a mold remediation company to come take care of small areas. So typically areas under 10 contiguous square feet are best handled by the homeowner. As long as it's not a severe allergen that's really bothering somebody, you can deal with a lot of this stuff yourself. There are multiple products on the market that you can get right at Lowe's or Walmart to deal with these smaller areas yourself. So you're not having to pay a big company with a lot of overhead to deal with it. What's the remediation process? In a typical home, if we were to go in and there was mold on drywall, the first thing that we would do is set up containment. We want to contain our work area so we're not affecting the rest of the home with the mold. Then we set up negative air pressure. That way, if we knock any spores loose, we're going to take care of it with that negative air pressure, which runs through HEPA air scrubbers. The next thing, after containment and negative air pressure are set up, we cut out any affected areas. The drywall typically has to go if there's mold on it. If it's something other than surface mold, small areas of surface mold can be dealt with. But for the most part, we need to know where the moisture is coming from and why that mold got there. So we cut the drywall out. We also remove any other non-cleanable items such as insulation. We then HEPA vac everything behind the walls that we just exposed. We We treat it all with a stain remover, which doesn't get rid of all the stains, but it helps a lot. We scrub these areas manually, and then we fog the entire work area with a botanical fungicide to make sure that we're not going to release anything into your home when the containment comes down. Last, we HEPA-vac all of the floors again, and we let HEPA air scrubbers run for at least 24 hours depending on the size of the work area. Our crawl space is affected by mold. Absolutely. Crawl spaces are the perfect breeding ground for mold. They have substrates, being the wood and some of the paper on the insulation. It has moisture, atmospherically speaking. Most crawl spaces in our area are condensating 10 months a year. So it has moisture, it has warmth, and it has darkness for the vast majority of the year. So crawl spaces are flawed by design in our area. They have crawl space vents. This is intended to cause ventilation and circulation of air to prevent mold. But really what it does is let an awful lot of wet, humid air in. I'm in about 500 crawl spaces a year, literally, and almost every one of them has mold in it. Some are not so severe, but most of them are. We really need to control those conditions. Why is conditioning crawl spaces so important? Some studies, a lot of studies actually, suggest that 50% of the air in your crawl space is shared with your home. So that's knowing that crawl spaces are complete breeding grounds for mold. If we're getting that air into our homes, we are causing an unhealthy environment. By controlling the conditions in a crawl space, we can stop this from ever happening. What is crawl space encapsulation and what's the process? It basically starts with remediation. We need to get this mold out from underneath of your house. So we go in and we set up negative air pressure in your crawl space. Once that's done, we remove all of the non-cleanable items such as insulation and the vapor barrier. Once those are gone, we take HEPA vacuums and we HEPA vac all of the exposed wood surfaces in your crawl space. After HEPA vacuum, we apply a mold stain remover to all the wood surfaces. It doesn't get rid of all the stains, but it does help a lot. Then we scrub all of the wood surfaces manually. Once scrubbing is done and it dries, and the mold stain remover dries, we cold fog a botanical fungicide onto every surface in the crawl space. This includes the floor, all the block walls, and all the exposed wood surfaces. Once this dries, we air gap. What we would like to do is seal off any penetrations in the floor going up into the main house or to the exterior of the home. So we use a spray foam in all of the chases where pipes and wires go up through the floor. We seal off so air can't get up there. After air gapping, we re-insulate either the walls or the floor joists. If we insulate the floor joists, we take our vapor barrier up the walls to keep any moisture penetrating the block behind the vapor barrier. We don't want that moisture affecting the atmosphere of the crawl space. Then we seal off all the crawl space vents and we install a dehumidifier. So what else does Home Services Restoration do? We are actually a full service restoration company for water and fire and mold. We also offer rebuild services, so when we have to come in and rip out things because of water damages, we can rebuild them for you. We do a multitude of other things as well, but I would like to bring your attention to coming soon is duct cleaning. We're really looking forward to being able to offer that services to our customers. Again, I'm Greg Reynolds, Home Services Restoration, LLC, and we are turning disaster into happily ever after.